Hello, everyone, and such a joy to be able to connect with you all and share a few thoughts from God's Word. My thought for this day is titled, Is God Irreplaceable in Your Life? And my text is taken from Psalm 16 and verse 2. It says, I said to the Lord, You are my Lord, I have no good besides you. In the Bible, we see God referring to David as a man after his own heart. And if we read the book of Psalms, particularly the ones that were written by David, we see numerous reasons as to why God made this profound and powerful statement about David. And here in this verse we just read, we find one such powerful reason. Look at what it says. I said to the Lord, You are my Lord, I have no good besides you. Now, as I was reading this, I was just wondering, did David really not have any good thing in his life? In fact, he had the best life could offer. He was powerful, he was wealthy, he was talented, he had great success, he was also good looking. So, what is David saying here? Now, if someone asked us today, who or what is number one in our lives? All of us as believers would immediately say, God is number one. And we would even say things like, we start the day with Bible reading and prayer, and we only check our Facebook and WhatsApp only after reading the Bible and spending time in prayer, which is all very good, which is in a way putting God first. But what David is saying here is much more than this. David is making a very powerful statement here. He's actually saying, in effect, God is not just number one in my life. I do have the good things that He has blessed me with, and I do enjoy them, but they cannot replace God in my life. He is irreplaceable, and I find satisfaction in Him alone. Now, all of us have priorities in life, and the order of priority differs from individual to individual. Probably God is number one, followed by our family, and then maybe our workplace, and then friends, and so on. We all have an invisible priority ladder. I'm sure all of us have seen a detachable ladder where the racks can be removed and attached again. What happens every time is the racks keep changing positions every time they are removed and attached again. That's the way with our lives. Our priorities keep changing based on external circumstances and also our internal framework at that given point of time. I'm sure all of us remember the time we got saved. God, who was probably in the fifth or sixth place, moved right up to the top of the list. God became first, and then came our family and friends and everything else in the list. But as you get older and your life is filled with many more responsibilities, we begin to consider our priorities, and it becomes very difficult to assess whether God is number one in your life. All of us work for 40 hours a week and only do around 6 to 8 hours of God focused stuff every week. Does that mean our job is more important to us than God? Not at all. We only give about a tenth of our wages to the church and gospel ministries and spend the rest for our worldly needs. Does that mean we serve money more than God? Definitely not. We only go to church one day a week, and that too for a couple of hours. Does that mean we worship ourselves for the rest of the week? Well, of course not. What we are actually doing here is we've allowed God to control every aspect of our lives. What I have learned from this verse is God should not be just number one in our lives. God should not be just at the top of the list of our priorities. Everything in the list of our priorities should be defined by our devotion to God. God has to be the Lord of our families, our workplace, our finances, our relationships, and particularly our entertainment and pleasures. In Mark 12:28 to 34, when Jesus was asked by an Old Testament scholar about what was the most important commandment of all, the question was about what was number one in the long list of rules that God had given in the law. And Jesus gives a very interesting answer. The most important one, answered Jesus, is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. Jesus says the most important thing we must do is love the Lord with everything you have: your heart, soul, mind, and strength, everything. God shouldn't just be our number one priority. If we are to follow Jesus' words, then God must be the one thing that all our priorities are shaped by. We must love God with every part of our life. Now, the danger with talking about God as your number one priority is that we can fool ourselves into believing that He has nothing to do with number two priority and number three priority. And that sort of a Christian can, go to church, give money to charity, even read his Bible and pray or be involved in ministry, and it be far from God. We must not compartmentalize our Christian lives. God is not simply the most important one of our various priorities. He is not simply the one we attend to first before going off to engage in other tasks. We should love God with everything we have and allow God to control every aspect of our lives. So let's reflect on this. Where is God in our lives? Is He just number one in our priority list and has nothing to do with number two and number three? Or does our devotion to God flow into every area of our lives? Let's not just prioritize God. Let's give Him everything. Give Him the crown. Give Him our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Let's not just keep Him number one in our lives. Let Him be irreplaceable. I hope this encourages you. Stay blessed.